Live. So on and a weekend. There are a few issues about Bontia. I just want us to go through and situate them in a context. I have I'm for send a lot of messages. Want clarity and some explanation into some of the issues. Until weekends like this, in your free time, and then we go through some of the issues. Na yehu babia or minor ejina sisia, because there are a lot of development also gidi pa on the political arena and various social media platforms na or you're tracking na or hear discussion there are certain commonalities wankasa wuhu men, so those issues na yeba behwe and area way democracy, AG Attorney General versus the Auditor General, and Yehu Bank of Ghana issue statement babonting justifying why or more apprentice huge sums of money I can't answer because issue under the public domain. We were talking about 41.9 billion Ghana cedis, but according to release from Bank of Ghana and Rano, omo behye mo kana se sika na ye kasa ye 40 billion no kra na de san ye de na ya tibia free, so it's 44.5, and ye behwe ye debt situation ene Madam Sofa Yakufo anano ye hu ni say ye say odi bond we for na chino and ebia na pensioners no achini se ba ya form bond enye. We will be asking a lot of questions because Saubakaya COVID by a fund I yet yes I'm for your donation in Gumno. Yes, I'm a Croyan and now that's Adianano. And when there were renewed calls within the public space demanding accountability as to how much we accrued in that particular way, no, and how much you used to, no. Till date, I'm not sure anybody I get any clarity as to how much we were able to accrue into that particular fund and what exactly specifically I use with that particular money, no. When public discussion of course will intensify, people were demanding answers to how much no. This woman in question way a press conference, and this is the first time who will be a press conference they are accounting to public about how much na kwanya be seen there. Me ubi sa mense mo kan ya me I'm sure say me hu bi kra ono na ene on pensioners ni go abonten a okura placard playing on the emotional keyboards of Ghanaians, and when you the up for some time now we're dominating all media discussion, and I think we will come into that, and I think that because of timing, these are some of the few issues you will go through. So like I said, let's share sebaya ye bit me enya people to come on way I join in before we roll the discussion. And we've got into a time a lot of people have beginning a question your democracy, because if you go to the streets now sample public opinion as to say democracy Ghana ya adopt na boy and say no, you some ubenya divergent views. There are those who think that democracy but my culture say my view is that democracy still remain the best. Only problem is say we are only playing around it, because you be implementing it to the core, not the guiding principles of democracy, no. You be implementing it to the core. I'm not sure say we will be having problems because it's the same. Your famous is the same thing that has been implemented in other jurisdictions, even though you may say so it's not the best. American democracy has always been the reference point. It's not the best, but I think any the best, they've been able to, your friends say, make some significant gains, and that gains, atmia translate into the welfare of people on war minimum. That is all that we want. And you better say, apart from democracy, is it any other option I war as a country? Yes, so I feel I try say a bit me develop, So just take few minutes, share for other people to come on board. Now, on mobile board we are soon. You better so now. Yeah. I was thinking, Zenka, you have 400 and above 92 very soon. I think the numbers will go up about 5 o'clock. I think that will be all for now. Let's go through some of the issues. But I think that the most important thing I share Godfred Odame letter now what track commander to the AG, that is the Auditor General, so on withdraw the audit report on COVID-19 fund from the website, because only who can so publish it at this particular stage. That is the key thing. But now say if you go out there and you sample public opinion about how far yet me fair in this democratic practices here, now we gauge against our progress, our development, and you're saying socio-economic independence in this particular country. There are a lot of people are so much disappointed in the current state of affairs, because there are those who believe politics and I think to a larger extent that is true, because we have structured our political system in such a way those who rise to political prominence are the only those who benefiting from the system. We are not building a system that creates your friend is saying offer incentive and as a certain economic opportunities for the ordinary and the average Ghanaian. And everything that we do in this particular country, you must have certain close connections and now say unimobi up there. But democracy, pen prescription and arrangement, we are supposed to lay the foundation, the ground rules, economically, socially, politically, religiously, Obia can leverage every aspect be able to me because nipa does any potential. So how do you leverage that foundation to maximize your human capacity, no potential? Say I want to be click it to your best. That is what it's supposed to be. So when democracy, good governance, the SIA say lay that solid foundation. That solid foundation, and will be able to leverage it depending on your friend is one kasa or potential. But unfortunately, politics and the arrangement it creating incentive for few people yet me are managing to capture political power in the name of party. Enti won kan ho a wo de yen consider. That is why a democracy engine fapem many people are calling say democracy no more. But said Winston Churchill or say democracy is the worst form of governance, except for all the others that has been tried. That tells us that democracy still remain the best. But unfortunately, we are implementing it a way everything offer certain convenience for us, especially those in power. And the baby demand accountability, so we try to find a way to close it up. But baby a benefit there, that is where you left it. So we have since I transited from your friend saying military regime to democratize it officially in 1992. That is the Fourth Republic. Your transition has been smooth, election upon election. That is what we've been using as cardinal principle to gauge the progress of our democracy. But that particular thing translated into economic progress. Creating economic incentives, creating economic opportunities for the youth, average Ghanaian, betimi anya crime or no betimi edin ho see, those things are not there. So you have tons of students coming out of the university every year. National service, you need to know somebody somewhere and send with me. But if you have a structured system, na nema eye adwuma na yetimi do away with individual and human discretion na free ho, human interface and individual discretion na free ho. That's truly institutions are really working effectively and ensuring say enhwe nipa nim ba mom looks at obia what you can do, your potential, and as a form. I am not sure say we will be trailing at where we are currently. And some of these petty things I am pay much attention to know and then affect every facet of our national affairs everywhere, being it in the church, wherever, every nina affect everywhere. So democracy has never been a problem, but it is the convenient way you run it out just to ensure say our interest will be protected. I'm starting free here because we are coming to delve into sa letter na Godfred Odame throw the commander. Your friend is saying the Auditor General. Then we will be looking at it, reviewing na yehu sabi nyansa sema was adenum. If indeed democracy and I practice and I the full prescription out for ma. I'm not sure say he will even dare to put that particular thing on paper, say, or track commander AG, which is the Auditor General, say pull something from the website, because say the mercy kind of democracy, no, you're rolling out of convenience, but be a boy and the enemy yasasa bino yatwaba we. That is our saying definitive definition for democracy, and ye gauging necessary. That is how you picture no. So the mere fact yatwaba we lusu. That is it for us, because the other elements are a democracy. The democratic principles na nkasa ebwa it may translate into the economic progress of the people, no, that particular aspect in there. That is why poverty is so pervasive in Africa, because democracy, no, we are not implementing it to the core, but the convenient part serve our interest, you know. That is the only aspect you pay much attention to. But the aspect that will translate and influence or affect the lives of the majority of the people, we put a premium on the people, no, we are not looking at that particular point. And also because of, I don't want to call it high illiteracy rate or whatever, but be a free banner. I don't know how we see politics. Some see it as like religion. I believe in something and there is no way I will disconnect. But instead of reviewing from a perspective, that perspective, you know, put a premium on one kasa welfare. How the entire estate, you know, serve interest at a particular point in time. Se eno na wuisu na yade guide kwanya your friend say yade gauge the progress na of your friend saying amamu na yebu na, then you will feel free say, oh, this is niema ba kwa na me no mahu say ekoye, niema ba kwa na me no mahu say enkoye. And those niema will realize those observations, you know, ebe serve as a basis upon which ubejina so and make you political choices. Namum, it will not be based on the fact to say, oh, media may a kaini papa no or contesting so ya kaini, and for that reason, you know, men kotwaba ma obi free north, and amen kotwaba ma obi free voter. And the voter people also say mention me a voter ni I will not vote for. So if those tribal sentiment and ethnocentric cast, you know, dominate in the way a manner you make your political choices, we may end up enslaving ourselves to politicians, and that is the point we are, because the person, upon realizing the cardinal principles or informal political choices, you know, and knowing very well if it is tribal, a permanent, because among for making political choices based on tribal lines, you know, they don't reverse, they don't go back, they stick there permanently. So the person knows yet then on betwamame. So there is no motivation, there is no incentive to do anything. So realizing this, if we begin to vary your choices based on kwanya niyama faso play at any point in time, if we go that particular line, then politicians will realize the enormity of our political power, and they will act accordingly. Sebeya, they will not lose that particular power from them. Because democracy, I offer room, I offer, and rana obi bisa me say in so yesati yeto abama abana bano ntimi perform here because of democracy ntino yentimi nya ho hwe. That is a lie. That is a lie. Because democracy a creative rumor, then na creative window. In a democratic space, there is nothing like no. There is absolutely nothing like that. Wherever there is a room, there is a window. So, for instance, there is a particular president. Amamfa repose confidence and trust in him. Say, Obabeya the Papa be at some point in time will go against everything, including the vow I will take here now. The constitution I'm making allocation, making allowance. Say, the person has to be impeached. And those of you who have been following recent development in the UK, you know a number of prime ministers are resigning. And you know, obia impeach or more, because there are two cardinal things here, Juma. O failure, either you have certain motive, your friend say you have a conviction to realize that yes, I have failed, and out of respect for the people, you resign and go. It's part of democratic principle. One kasa realizing that out of respect, I promised to do this, but at this point, sorry, I can no longer deliver what I promised you. So I'm going. The other option is, say, if it's a democratic institution like in our situation, constitution is a parliament. As a ultimate for a passive vote of no confidence in 2/3 of members of parliament say nipa na edi to me na share nsa so more minor failure enti in one accord no ye impeach the person. So the constitution a creating room for us, but unfortunately for us the kind of politics that we do me catch us say you so ya dwen, and we do politics of dependency. I am there because of the other guy. Se me kasa tia we ya ochina bibiba o mame. That is our mentality. So unlike kwanya nema play out in other places, because it's the same democracy, it's the same template. Just that sometimes nema na ewom no vary depending on your friend saying baby awo ene nema bakwana miedo bi your friend saying internal circumstances, socially, politically, culturally, those things, part of it. But dependent by the template, democratic template across the world, in any country that is practicing democracy, is just one, with few, your friend saying, variations. So the good question is, why is elsewhere, those things in the year, Juma, we have people across the political divide realizing the need. Say, no, at this particular point in time, this person, even though he's president in my party, but he's causing extensive damage to the present and to the future. And for that particular matter, as long as that person remains as president, the sovereignty of the country, is under threat. And it is in that spirit, may invoke me right to impeach the president. That is exercising conviction beyond partisan front lines. But that is not the case in our situation. Oye NDC na the president aba odi nkwasi ade no de oye dan, and you see people going on radio defending absolute nonsense. Ebi nipa no koya ade no kra no onim no otiba bi chese nipa no kra nimo. He doesn't even think about you. But we are out there defending them. In the same vein, if it is the MPPs, that is the situation. Currently, just zero into the current state of affairs under President Akufo-Addo. we have seen instances where people from the MPP have come out bitterly complained about current state of affairs, how bad this particular economy you're managing. Certain individuals are consistently pushing this particular country under the bus. There has been renewed calls from even the MPP calling on say Kendo Furia Taran as a forum. There is the need. You see, democratic principle and the actors na can be. But sa cause when fall on the deaf, your friend is saying ear. And the same individuals in this particular space, that particular will to ensure say you back crack the whip, they don't have it. It's just politics. Yenye be been a man for who's at least a buy any baby, because when the option came, say young parliament, they pass a vote of censure. They you can for item from the same majority MPs, Once again, they were divided. So you begin to ask yourself, so where lies morals in the kind of politics that we do? There is no ethics, there are no morals. We are just loose cannons, toying around democracy. But you can't toy around democracy and expect to say we to achieve democratic dividends. Because democracy, you achieve dividends. I say we dibiana within a year, we don't fast war. By end there. Ye digano from 92 basin ye nyansom faso. Yes, there are other components about me aka ye nyansom faso, like your friends political stability, your friends social stability. I don't know how you gauge it. But the most prominent, the most important thing, economic independence. That is absolute zero. Absolute zero. But democracy is supposed to solve this particular problem to ensure, say, at least Ghanaians will attain some certain level of economic independence, so that this high dependency rate that you see, that one have to rely on the other, so better, because until so better, you can't make independent decisions. Because you need to toe the line. That is why that I've been telling you, sir, in our part of the world, Africa for instance, poverty is a deliberate political tool that has been created, because if you want to control a population, take away their economic freedom. So if I take away your economic freedom and I am the one feeding you morning, afternoon way, how dare you speak against me? And that is it. But the estate belongs to all of us. But it has been done in such a way that certain individuals will always have control. They will have upper control over us. So it's no surprising, even some of the professors in academia, some of your friends saying Nipo Mosuya they are quite actually sometimes when they come in the media space expressing their opinion on development, then you begin to worry. Why should somebody who is supposed to know it all be talking the way a manner the person is talking? You can't blame him, because his economic independence has been taken away and he's scared. If you go against, maybe you suffer. But in other places, me wa America na meye majuma, na menye lazy, na meye majuma. I don't care. Nipa me to aba amano, and I say way, because at the end of the day, voting for you or no voting for you, will not have any particular impact there on my economic life, because as long as me I know say mensa become a baby. But in our situation, that is not the case. So in a typical African settings, so be a president, the major consideration is not about creating job opportunities for a man for some benye. It is not about creating social and economic incentives for the youth to leverage. Say be a bit media. It's not about those who have ideas. I am support to Omokakra be at least or meet me pay a man for more business ideas. How do we support them to ensure say those who you see all these things and the Bwama or my engineering, unlike other places. Recently, I went on social media and I saw a guy be minim school, but a young guy what me aye plane or the battery ne nase for or ye etu and in wiem. So Accra onwan kasa out of nothing. What me aye such invention, you know. The state must quickly go in and support those individuals and try to get into their head and understand how they were able to come out with those things and realize if it is possible for the state to support them, build something around them, say at least be a free. But that is never a priority of an African politician. It is about how to exert massive control over everybody. That is why when somebody is in power, we are divided into two. There are those who talk for and there are those who talk against. You don't very often see intermediaries. Because the agenda has always been one, political. So democracy has never been a problem. But me know, and a problem. Very fortunately for us, we've got into an era and it's really getting quite interesting. And that is the point in time I think saying democratic dividends in America at this time, and I think it may realize it because you see, unlike those years gone by now, media platforms and then also we had few guys guarding the media space, and they decide on what to discuss and what not to discuss. They decide on what to discuss and what not to discuss. And we have various platforms. These platforms, all of them, offer a man for the opportunity. I try about kwanya nema faswa echo. And if there has ever been a time as in Ghana, your democracy kura kone nim yetimi etumumpong nankane other effects, bentimi influence the economic state of affairs at this particular time. Because democracy, that is what it espouses. The input of the public is very crucial at any point in time. But once again, this is the time you're falling down your fence from the edge of the cliff at a crazy speed. Because those are the helm of affairs, they think they are better than Obia. Obunim nyansa change Obia. Enti adia Obia adwinchire bi Obia betwire bia to them is nothing but absolute nonsense. Anase bia wuni adwuma ya ana wuni adwuma anase bia come na do ntina wo kasa. That is the exalted position they've taken, an entrenched position they've taken already. So whoever is heard speaking against whatever that is going on in their mind, they see he's a fool, he's angry, he's hungry, and I say he's working for somebody. They don't look at the issues in contention as to whether you are making valid or legitimate point. So on that scale, we can never grow. So that is why I've been telling you, democracy now, people who are guiding us along, they are not Democrat. We have imposters who are fronting democratic rule. So when you stand in afar, you see a very nice democratic country, everything seems to be working. But when you get closer, that's where you realize that no. There is no element of your friend saying democracy be a what they hear. We rather have imposters. And that will bring me to the questioner. And I say the Attorney General. So in simple, AG actually command the Auditor General, another AG. Catch on say audit report now here on the COVID-19 we never abonteno. It's yamra say obe publish it. Edi ababonten ama manfo akan abra parliament enyan go through emfa park committee enkan mu nwie reading the report the Auditor General any right to do that. When I heard this thing, I said, this is very embarrassing. And you see, there are a lot of us very much intimidated when I'm for can say if Attorney General or never people don't even want to go into those things, and they just leave it. This is for other people to discuss. Listen, when you talk about law is a basic common sense that is clothed with English. That's all. Take away the technicalities, everything. And natural principles, biswa is just law is no deviation from common sense. So whenever Obi try to interpret law a deviate from common sense, that person is only expressing your friend is saying the opinion, but that is not the position of law. The Auditor General or Juma Mahefan for or Juma Ghana for, and the fund in question belong to the people of Ghana. So per one of the democratic principles, Ebini saying probity, accountability at every point in time. The people in this particular country, are entitled to know the state of the country at any point in time. Unless it say it is something that threatens the national security, and that has to be clothed in a way. It is a talking about thing, but anything about Ghana and your secret. And Ghanaians demand to know at any point in time. So let's go by Godfred Odame seminar okano. Say audit report we are as submitted in my parliament. Na parliament and so the amount committee new we near trying to report about ansana. You see, sir idea we are asema okan, it is not in sync with logic and common sense. So his argument is highly irrational, and I'm coming to tell you why that argument is irrational. Per his argument, since our kind constitution, since we in a report in the common parliament, but the good question maybe sawa when your law say parliament when we say parliament take Ghana as a population and see parliament as a sample. And parliament, your friend say, is a correct representation of the population that Ghana for. It and say Ghana for ntimi nkogu parliament enkohye mmerante na constituency bia yi ne nipa baako say omonko parliament to represent us. So parliament house in isi no a constitute the entire Ghanaian people. So anything that falls in the hands of parliament, Ghanaians deserve to know, unless matter is at the committee level and a certain committee has been tasked to go into it and send everybody the plenary. But in your through top parliamentarians directly or indirectly, it is about Ghana for because at that point it is no longer public. I don't know if a point that I've been making is out here. Akwese ye work rase na ye say ohene ebehia krom hofo nyina e wa hemfie na ye realize say ye ka say efie mu nipa ni nyina nsore mra hemfie ho a hemfie ho so nipa no nkoho enti de ebe ye ne say efie bia nyi nipa baako na omo emra hemfie. So in the end no fie bia ba yi nipa baako. So at the end of the day no nipa no mo wa hemfie ho no represented the entire village. That is what parliament is doing. So any document in all the money panel more ahemfie ho no so omonhwema directly or indirectly no is the same as sad document or the koto village ho ma obi e kan bi, because the people are more ahemfie no represent the entire village. That is what parliament. So if the constitutional framers were very sensible, so say Constitution says Auditor General and report to you, that's what the common Speaker of Parliament. At the very moment that the report gets into the hands of the Speaker of Parliament, is the same as you are tracking the public space, because at that point it becomes public document. And the Attorney General and the Auditor General and mistake be say or publish, because a could do Parliament why is the same as the material be in public unless or you say the committee be discuss because parliament a subset of the Ghanaian population. So what sense does it make for Godfred Odame to be issuing letters say we breaching constitution and so constitution be no breach here? And me say some of these things are just common sense. You don't need to say okofa Harvard are good team and okofa Legon are before you understand some of these basics. The Bible say law and deviate from common sense. It's a basic element of common sense clothed with English. That's all. And to say, "Omaho Quine say, oh, we are not to me the comma parliament." Is the same as the thing be in public space, because after all, he's working for the people of Ghana. And at any point in time, we deserve to know whatever that is going on. After all, Sikani a public seeker. And the good question is, Senka, cover the damage that just Nanka or Jenny. I'm sure saying the first question he'll be asking himself and say, "Enti audit report in buy nanka sema e wom no nanka eye papa." Na you say, "Oh, sikani ye yusu ne kama ama Ghana nya mfaso na sikana kura ba bia senke ye yusu kura ne ye yusu mfaso ababocho." And nanka Auditor General ne beto abonten a will he be talking the way he's talking? Come on, let us be honest. Let us be reasonable. But this is a guy who is supposed to look after the welfare of this particular country, but quickly he's a partisan agent that is fighting to protect corrupt officials in this particular government. He has a sworn duty to protect the interest of the state. After all, he's the chief legal advisor. Being chief legal advisor, his job isn't to protect the president, but to protect the interest of this particular country, the sovereignty of this particular country. But this is a guy that responsibility was shaken. That particular responsibility has been jettisoned. Now he's pursuing a very narrow objective, and that objective is to protect the interests of people perceived to have perpetrated crime against their state. So, in the end, if you tend to blame democracy, because the whole idea of bringing in that guy who is a family member of the president is to ensure, say, they know what they were coming to do. So they need certain things to insulate themselves. And that is exactly what this guy is doing. But it's very embarrassing. I don't know how among who's the same way, but from me say common sense is enough incentive to provoke you to realize what the path that this particular guy is pursuing, is so I don't know. Who's the means in describing? Because as an AG, you should be very much concerned about how the infractions, the supposed malfeasances or whatever, because the Auditor General didn't report to Babontia. It's not conclusive. Yes, it's true. It's not conclusive because you cannot just use that now to be to prison. No. But as an Attorney General, you are supposed to act on some of these things after the parliament and as for you in a report any act of criminality biana or report to biano. It is your duty to ensure that individuals be as a and I said yes charging or no, we will do it. So that should occupy your priority. But this is a guy who is out there trying to defend persons perceived to have committed crime in this particular country. So if you sit somewhere and you think we can nip corruption in the bad, you're only joking. And again, let's flip to the normal practice. The president Okroma from Kufuor Pens be see and Auditor General by now I am a reporter we on farm abonti mobian can be. Why? Auditor General Ben and I am a reporter or we are reporting any out there for people to read. And Godfred Odame to write a letter to the AG instructing him to pull that particular publication out there, no cry, no, in one way or the other, no, your friend saying the narrow scope he's thinking from, because that particular document in question, no, has already been in circulation for like weeks. I have a copy, and I know majority of people of you watching already have a copy. So if he's asking him to pull it down, it doesn't even make sense. And he was just quoting constitutional provisions, but you first said the critical element where you're supposed to sit down and think around it and realize it. Engage idea papa against common practice, no common sense, and that is what he failed to do. Because law, so we are a sort of common parliament. At the very moment a document slip into parliament, then your committee level na discussion, na certain intelligence committee work be a certain furtive or clandestine operation be a within the intelligence community, and as a border on national security. Now they could do the plenary na a parliament where at the very moment the thing get to parliament directly, it's public document, and the public is entitled to know whatever that is inside, just to satisfy the principle of probity and accountability, because transparency is key. At any point in time in a democratic state, the citizens must not have or harbor doubt at any point in time about Kwanya Nema Efaso a play out. The doubt of the people at every point in time must be cleared, because your friend is saying in a democratic space or in a political space like this, you don't create a vacuum. You don't create a vacuum. Listen to this thing very well. So we create a vacuum, it will be filled with cynicism, and you may not have the chance to come and defend yourself. Quite recently, Papa Bifreme, like a very prominent Ghanaian, I'm for a creative Facebook account, Amano. And I say Omudi Buobi, and he was so much passionate and very worried about the development. I catch them and say, "Oh no, Ankasa Facebook no ni account to her." Now me say, if you create a vacuum, it will be filled. Because at this time, at this era, if you are a politically exposed person, you can't tell me say, "Who need Facebook? Who need a man for be creative amount?" That is why you need to have. You don't create a vacuum. If you're a politically exposed person, if you're a prominent person, you are well known at this stage, it may happen that you don't like Facebook, but one creative will be creative about. So it is better you create, give it to somebody to manage for you. So it is highly nonsensical for him to be complaining, say, and I'm in a Facebook account and I'm for the meeting, because he has created a vacuum, and that vacuum is being filled with cynicism, negativity, and a whole lot of stuff, and you can't control it. After all, our account to be an account near, they'll be able to distinguish your account from the fake one, but you don't have it, so people will create it for you. That is what Godfred Odame has done. So institutions that are supposed to ensure that we elevate democracy and democratic principle to a level where you need appreciating these institutions are doing whatever that they can to ensure they will crash institutions in this particular country. And you see, I'm trying very hard not to flip in Akufo-Addo in this particular discussion, but you see, so we had the modus operandi of this particular government since the inception in 2016 upward basically now. The various individuals, institutions are yet taking upon ourselves, we will help in the fight against corruption, They are doing everything within their power to ensure that they will crush those people. Classic Ayadomilivo, the former AG, and Sana Weyibai. I don't need to go through the wars. And then what led to Domilivo and Auditifia when you by BA. This is a guy who devoted himself to ensure he will help us rip corruption apart in this particular country. He took a lot of risk. He was out there trying, do all that he could then by surcharging the almost a disallowance, he was doing it. Those who ought to be prosecuted, and as well, he was doing a lot in our bid to ensure that we clamp down on corruption and corrupt practices in this particular country. It took a president who has taken an oath to protect the peers of this particular country to wake up one day and realize the guy is causing disaffection for his government, and he brought in an infantile accusation that the guy was in office abra or cheaty age. But the good question is, Domilivo a cheaty age, that is a criminal act. Why is he not being prosecuted? He was hounded. Domilivo age abroso. And now why cheaty? And now the share system no na wacheno. The first thing you do, you prosecute him. Or my catcher say, the state, it's not your job to be merciful or to be weak. So if it is indeed true, say Domilivo a cheaty age, the best thing and can say to cement that fact and say can you prosecuting and but because they were telling lies into that guy now. They attempted and he's working for a reputable organization that is more credible than this country. So our fight against corruption will never, because any attempt to expose you, the president will come in with the might of the state, with state institutions, with sworn mandate and sworn duty to ensure say corruption now the state will rather protect them, offer them certain incentive, and those on better try say to the way you will expose them. Clear case. Apart from Domilivo, go to the media space. The guy all handed the fourth estate. Is it Manasseh? Yeah. And few other guys. Some do go through the ordeals that they've been going through in their quest to ensure, say, they will put faces behind allegations of corruption. And this allegations of corruption, allegation, they were trying to put faces behind those allegations just to give us a clear picture. Sabayaibe moving from abstraction to reality. They were doing their best. In the end, their lives were on the line. Some had to flee. And it wasn't external forces there fighting against them all. It is the state. The state was visiting on them third-degree threat. So some of them almost spirit to cry die out. And the estate keeps sinking. And think can you pay ya to Obama out there? Sorry. Nipa ya to Obama out there and can you duty to ensure say corruption because you see the most interesting thing about this whole governance things is we've gotten to a stage you as a government, it is not even your job to go for cases of corruption. Just do your job. You have a media, their job is to raise the allegations. They will find their own resources, go and find the issues. The issue no bar, it is your job to ensure, say, because a by allegation, it is investigation that will be conducted, and ever validate or the otherwise. So Manasseh Kwabontin or an investigation or by publishing the report when you by at that point deem it as a mere allegation, any substance be. So to prove it, just go into it, investigate it. At the end of the day, say a prove it, in fact, in some other buyer, and substance be, you will brush it aside. He will go and work on another case. Then that will help you say, indeed, cases brought against my people, we've been able to. But this is a president who has decided, say, He will not even allow state institutions to work on those cases, but he will use his powers as an executive president to kill those issues at their preliminary stages without even committing investigation. So, in a democratic country, no, sana in the SNMako. Because in instances and cases like the president, you are not supposed to have a voice. You are not. And to obey an obstacle to the fight against corruption, then it's like serving a corruption bazaar. People will feel comfortable. Come on, invite your friends. This government is free. You can still get away with it. You see? And unfortunately for us, we live in a country where people become rich overnight and nobody questions them. Where they got their word from? Because if you've been able to make money within a period, at least tax returns, we must see. You see, if we begin to allow institutions to work, the full details of democracy will run out. Trust me, this particular country in 1 year will be on the right track. And like I've been telling you, all we need is strong leadership. So Godfred Odame is not worried about the fact say Obiafa 50 million Ghana cedis akwa dakulo. Ako lisi edan for 25 years, knowing very well say COVID, no, and near there's a 5 years like state ya yehuni in this particular accused state ya yehuni eba wa in 5 years, the situation and yes IBM by a colisi building for 25 years at a cost of 15 million Ghana cedis at this crucial time, and for another 20 million to do renovation. We abandon it. Godfred Odame, he has no issue with that particular thing. He is worried about somebody who has put a report out there for Ghanaians to see what is going on. So, I didn't think any more jumama abayano or feel emboldened to do what they are doing. Similar is the situation development at Ecoso or Bank of Ghana. And then Rami who say Addison, I issue statement confirming the fact that indeed the Bank of Ghana printing is in money printing business or in the bid to finance a binuma or more. They have decided to say Emarano, Yabobo, and a Yatuogu. On Famaran Yajuma. Come a catcher say, era ya woman. Democratic acts and principles have been thrown out there to the dogs and they are trampling on them with impunity. Democratic acts and principles. That is supposed to be our guiding principles to ensure say bit me realizing your goals and your objective. Those guiding principles and acts and ya chichere and ya twogu eho and a pigs and a nananamso enti kroma emra nya dwumo bi atimi ye de ope because emra okroma so for the Banking Act 2002 and rana me catch say abra emra na bae no na allow 10% of central bank financing 10% when the law was enacted, but 2016 it was amended and the 5% was 10% was reduced to 5%. So what it means is that the central bank can never finance central government business go beyond 5% of your revenue in the previous fiscal year. Just 5%. In the sika yajije no krom ha yenya ye no nyina no in the particular year no say central bank ni betimi support abanya, they are not supposed to go beyond 5% of sa revenue na yajije wo krom ha no, and there is a reason for that. This is a guy, but answer na mebaso no, let me go back and tell you who this Addison is. I the same Addison way aye kana semi sa wo kai banking sector clean up na ebeba na ono na yesoma no as a Bank of Ghana your friend is a CEO whatever boss or whatever they call him. He did a press conference and he told Ghanaians say bank ba kwa na mienu we ya agui in the coming days banks dodo na eba begu. This is a guy who has been in the financial space for so long, and I'm told he's a doctor. He understands. Your friend is saying the fact is the banking sector no idea MP that particular kind of speculation in uncertainty in for no, because the very moment you create the impression out there say banky baby good now my brother mean go misika. So that particular press conference, the subsequent day you saw panic withdrawal from the bank. People were trooping to the bank because this is a guy, he's the governor of Bank of Ghana, alluding to the fact is a bank no cry we no good e bi ba begu na how the money sika ka. So there were crises, and that became the precursor for them to collapse the banks. A very dangerous guy, a politician, Osha quote, playing central bank governor, because he was the person who was used to go out there to throw the bomb. Say bank in the coming days about bear 5 babegu. Go back and check. Such an irresponsible and infantile comment coming from a central bank governor. He understands what speculation does to the banking sector. He understands why this uncertainty, what it does to the financial sector. But he went out there, did a press conference, and gave an indication, said banks no babegu. So the following day, everybody went to the bank for their money, and that gave them the chance to collapse the banks. So that is Addison for you. So this is a guy, Nema koso kenoforata bo ne bosiane de oye ni nyina no. What he has been doing is a central bank and apprentice sika emra ma ho kwan. So 2021 fiscal year no revenue ayetimi generate okroma na around 70 billion. So 70 billion no per section 30 of Banking Act as amended in 2016 a cast try and say you can only finance central government, your friend is saying businesses and go beyond 5%. But so 5%, over out of your friends are 70 billion now. You will be getting around 3.2, 3.3, 3.4 thereabout. You can work it out on your own. Billion Ghana cedis. Now I say central bank need to me finance it doesn't matter. This guy goes out there and on one kasa de nepe a printy over 44.5 billion because now yeah kasa 41.9, but obe two munchine say 41.9 mom 44.5 billion, and that is the report he brought out. And this guy shamelessly attempt to justify why he breached the laws. Justify why he breached the laws, or say yenya COVID na bae no Parliament has suspended the Fiscal Responsibility Act. So for that particular reason, na ceiling be any home no na, and considering the exigency of the situation and the circumstances and cost or maimu because of COVID, and then as if for he had no other option. But the first question any reasonable person should be asking that guy and say Parliament has suspended the Fiscal Responsibility Act. That particular suspension, suspended the Banking Act. It doesn't, unless somebody new education. The very moment they suspended, directly or indirectly, I invalidated the essence and the legality of this particular law. So he goes out there and print 44 billion. Sa 44 billion it's a year. And run make catch our Hoto FM say sa 44 billion or translator is around $3.3 billion. That is higher than the amount of money we are currently begging IMF. So back for bit me Bank of Ghana no print sika do so change sika ye free IMF ha. You understand where we are as a country, and you know why people do things freely with impunity and why this particular country is sinking. And when we sit here and we are talking, it is not because Obi Tanyaku Fuado or like what? After all, he's president. So if metaina, that means I'm a fool. But I'm only speaking the truth. He's president, I'm nobody. So if I'm consistently talking about the issues and you think I hate him, that is your own business. Because from day one, all the decisions that have been taken are inimical to both economic, political, social, whatever fortunes of this particular country. A mortal threat to our sustainability, democratic sustainability in this particular country. Because if you look at the current state of affairs, anything at all can happen. And those things threaten the very foundations of our democracy. It threatens our sovereignty. So that is why some of us cannot be quiet. If you look at the litany of justifications he put on paper yesterday, trying to justify why, oh my God, that's so interesting. And Godfred Odame, once again, as an Attorney General who is supposed to protect the interests of the country, should today be asking that guy where he got that audacity from to publish, to print such huge sums of money. As a Bank of Ghana, them apprentice over $3.3 billion. Then you acquire IMF. So now you understand why inflation numbers, a number be a number, because most of them no more prentice inflation numbers for the first time in 30 years. Today, your inflation numbers and 50 and above. Your debt to your GDP is around 104.7%. Because my catch is 93.1 or more they have on, it's absolute nonsense. They are talking about government of Ghana debt, but we are talking about total public debt, which include monies owned by state-owned enterprises, like how do you call it, Cocoa Board, Dachi Bond, and as a form ya subscribe to other special purpose vehicles, Sikabosian, Sino Hydro Loan, and as a for Nina public debt. Okay, can you now boma? Your debt to our GDP is over 100%. If Obi Air cancer when I was doing this, I could find no be time, no be pen and na there be a negative. I'm said damn and the whole team, or maybe you have just decided to block your senses. And some na cost no one take. Because these people are doing extensive damage to this particular country. He will go, but the damage will still be here. Because this Kyei here tried to postpone it in that time he will not be there. Or Bob will see go in the next 70 years, in the next 100 years. Sikana yam fa nyanyan sade ya shina to agu, and that particular thing will be a burden on our necks. And eto there den no so obi oti America why na dwuma a obesave sika Ghana na ne abinding in sabom. And I got bone be no obi aye se wakwa na dwuma no se on the hunyansa se odne sika eba ne kuruma by investment, because obi they have decided to mismanage this particular country by borrowing in a very uncivilized fashion. Because his motivation was greed. Because me boy me nyam faso wa fa na wo fase ne nam fo na omoya legal advisors ya bobu sia na ye je ho faso edi na ya ba na man na beduru ha ene ye se ye share the burden obodam hwan share burden. You need to explain and account for every damn thing that you've caused in this particular country. That is to begin with. And I know I can about this Sufaya Akufu woman, or Akakudi bondholders and then as a for. Question I will be sad and say, COVID never ya set up cover fund and among for 2 years. Was she able to account to Ghanaians how much we accrued and what exactly those monies were used for? Today you have the audacity to go out there to mock people by identifying yourself with pensioners. Usika wogu de mukra no betimi edi kopi zo bewu, because we know. So you should give us a break. If she want Ghanaians to take her serious, sas bo adena ne koto ano no ye nya press conference and account to sika. The last time I checked, this woman was behind cameras say, or account to the public through a press conference. I'm saying Bibi Hamo. That is what she did. And today she's out there mocking people. I don't want to waste time on that particular thing. So this is what Addison, your friend said, Addison has done. And I am telling you, say, if we have any responsible, serious leadership in the future, this particular guy is a jail candidate. Because I believe, say, I believe in consequences. No. Yam fan chana yen say such nonsense, I don't belong there. I believe that actions must have subsequent consequences. That is the only way man will learn. So that people will be scared. Or mine is a free to form crana, or befa dia bisa. Or mine is a free to form. That is the state we need to create. That is what we need to do. But where people feel comfortable, even in their crimes, they are arrogant. And they will find justification in their crimes, why they are doing what they are doing. But they know what they are doing is illegal. It's against the law. It's against democratic ethics and principle. It is against everything. Yet they do it with impunity because they have a backing. There is a president out there, and that is what he has been doing. So when the Bank of Ghana timid them a prentisika bubru ya without accounting to anybody, Parliament crying away. Because so go against the ceiling, at least there must be certain discussion with the people's representative. Because whatever discussion we have with Parliament, constitutionally, it's a recognized, it's an extensive discussion with the entire Ghanaians, and that alone, will give you certain goodwill to go ahead with whatever you do. But they do this with impunity. They will not engage you because no busa we nipa. So if you want to know why Ghana is sinking, Niama Amanfo Binimu ya ebiniye so bit me shed them plenty over 40 billion and over. Entina or Safuma for Hamber catchers say they don't know why the inflation numbers are going up. Because Sikano, you are trying to throw and you to a good system and they go among for them. You told the idea, you have a bond, you have a tongue. And they will get people to buy, and they will add it to our public debt. And a cannot there sran kosa because that is what they are going to do. So we have a problem. And all that I'm looking for is somebody strong enough, somebody ruthless enough, but very pragmatic to ensure, say, every single crime that has been committed against this particular country, people will answer for it. I don't want hounding this witch hunting and I say for them, but make sure, say, people will answer for their crimes, irrespective of who. That is the only way we can situate this whole governance in the context that people will have respect for the guiding principles. And yes, we will all be like loose cannons. Everybody will just jog around it just to find a way out because there are no consequences. There are absolutely no consequences. So if you look at our debt situation in Ghana now, it tells you one statement: we are in a sorry state. Because eka eso chain japade. I saw on a platform somebody was trying to justify, say, your friend is saying, say your debt to your GDP aye kasiya kra and country because other big countries like America and as for these guys are jokers who come on air, try to sell misinformation, call it disinformation. They lie boldly to people. How can anybody on his right senses compare America's economy to Ghana's economy? The last time I was telling you, say, California alone, California's economy is over $3 trillion economy. The size of Ghana's economy, I think, is $72 billion. That's the highest estimation you can go. $72 billion. That is the size of Ghana's economy. But California alone is a 3 trillion economy. So America debt to GDP. Don't make such silly comparisons. Because against the fact say Chrome Hayati say adesa bosia ni sika ye nyina nka ye bibibi on the other side to ensure say these things in the future no will pay for. Ye lay a foundation that will create job opportunities, create incentive for the youth. Even our school, our educational system is in shambles. Nobody is talking about quality. It is about man for nemu wuyo ne yaba. When we come, be a further burden on this particular country, because the very moment a majority of citizens in the country are enlightened, exposed to education, and as for no, that is why they are able to situate their potentials in the context that a bit also making contribution to the development of the country. But people go to school, get exposed to so-called enlightenment, they adapt to your family saying they further become a burden on this particular country, because the training, that whatever that they went through, no, nothing better. Nothing better. Because I am for name of my church go and can be gu baba gu tima oba a trainer the coin and one and the buffy. The only thing is when your paper do a cheat. School today, no, geared toward creating critical minds, individuals who can create something out of nothing. Who can create something out of nothing? How many students rebet me free school about chromatia kase me buy me so my baby and my court support, and for that matter now I've been able to establish do this. No. You go and chew or the obia church or bar. They say trainer the queerness, I trainer and they fear nothing. So you see, there are critical areas I think you pay much attention to in a question between developing. Because we are saying a culture say a pacey a dimirka, and it is not waiting for anybody. It is up to you to position yourself in such a way say you can catch up with the racing world, because the world is racing. And we are seeing in our Cambodia back. Somebody will be living in Ghana, somebody will be living in the United States, somebody will be living in China, and you will be applying for the same job with different qualifications. So I know the day, you know, what competitive edge and what they buy on board. At the bank, like looking at where we are coming from, you are disadvantaged because nothing seems to be working. So as a country, you know, I'm not sure saying so camera see and we are talking about and Disika and Auditor General say and Obia say and we are singing praises, hallelujah choruses about the progress and the significant gains we've been able to make as people. But we are here 21st century clamping government priority at a time a man for making sacrifices there or minor crashing into no. He's thinking about quite faswa obet me when elections in the next year into about 30 million Ghana cedis at a private firms there. Mon hind dying, yeah, by your rent service. You see, hey. Sometimes it's very frustrating. Sometimes, if you are talking about Nemekos or Ghana, and I say once I say a bit of restraint, you may say things that will be a grand casa because you become frustrated. A man for free some young penny for saving come or more being a question when they are your fancy weaving policies talking near man and Kasabi, they will bring wisdom to bear, no, they will disappoint you. They will, big time. So we keep falling. falling. Nothing seemed to be working. But the good question now, I want to say, why is it that so be free Ghana, or to go US, and or to go any of the European countries? They don't go. Some don't go with certificate. They don't absolutely nothing. They go omutian or the but in the end, the system has been done in such a way, say opportunities, you set the foundation. Any the economic incentive, social incentive, political incentive, all you have to do is to leverage. So why dreams over your Juman Kwandia, Ubenya Biaye? Uya Juman and Swa, you get your income. Yesika new cra sabi dine will be. So Obi and dine will be. Everybody is independent. So when it comes to say because until so by economically independent, it is only at that point, and I'll bet me I try independently. As I'm waiting here. Until say obey economically, your friend saying self-sufficient, empowered, and I say independent, it is at that point time only. And I bet me I'm making your friend say independent political choices and decisions. So forever, as long as we live in this time here, this economic space, we are tied to the apron strings of people we perceive said they are those who can help us. They are those we are waiting say in the future. So that is it. So the courage, the power to confront issues, the courage to do that, is constrained to a certain extent. It's thwarted. Because lurking beneath that so-called courage, is a certain fear. Say, hey, I say me, my fear, say you, because say your economic independence, a lie, will be bottom, a show be ho. So, kasara wan kasaya. And these guys, realizing that, are committing heinous crime against this particular country. And unfortunately, those who are supposed to speak for us are for no, are him for no. They are belly full. Obiya yama. So they don't care. They don't care. So and the ordinary and the average Ghanaian is left to his or her fate. Each one for himself, God for us all. Who struggle now? There is no order. And those, the political class, people are amassing wealth, there are no consequences. And the good question, when there will be facing consequences? When we live in the country, even judges have been cited in corruption cases. They've not been able to clear themselves. Public trust and confidence in the judicial is at a record low. Persons being appointed to the bench, and then as a forum, there are certain concerns. A president appointed among 21. So you see, nothing. And the ordinary Ghanaian bit me de nebuato say, oh, this thing is working out for me. So mine, ya fan ye bu na buwe, and obie ya de ope. That me say until say, ye be money per who said there are consequences for action, we will continue to trade on this line, and your progress there we will never find it, because to be been said nyame baya am say obodam ko makacho say nyame any time for nipo munim nyansa ya nkasa na ese ye ye and ye baya mana ye ni ya ese gina ye soro de akokoduro na ade na enye ye no ye ka. And we force it to ensure say it will be done right. Obia and all disrespect you, Obia. But when we are discussing the issues, we pick the issues near the go bear spreading no. Sabaya, you bet me a situate the discussion, the contest. I bet me a harness certain understanding. Yeah, Mahu there, yes, Mahu, your friend said Barakisu. At the here the cathedral site at this crucial time, pensioners in for musica yesere mo monteso mo nyambotere utobondwa yesere nyambotere mayen. The government is actually begging everybody. Then you go and look at sa cathedral na da ho na sika akom na ye fe adaye se hwan sika de ama no and the consultant sika de ama omo a masa, you dare not tell anybody to sacrifice. You dare not. You wouldn't feel sika de ma ajaye se hwan se on draw ye fe say 88 hospital no ba ko kura nu a yesi na no mete ya obisi ya hwehwe edan. I'm said kroma hompa there. You have jokers roaming around as politicians, or jokers, active jokers roaming around. Or say edan no there na Akufo-Addo de wa na dwin so obesi na land no mo pe no munyanya bi na wo mo dama unya land ya ka se obesi dan date to so unyanya land ena wa mo bia be drawing ena waje hu sika na odeko. Are we serious? What draw ye tua hu sika deko, but yenyanya besinne cathedral na Akufo-Addo my timelines and besinne ye tua sika na manipa na wafa deko cathedral na the center of Accra amana na yabo ena sika akom over 300 million eko or mine sika o, and they are telling you say o pension sika na o de better with diabetes we ndro no yesere wa let us share the burden. Oh bodam o no han share the burden. These are the realities. It means no disrespect, because when this whole thing started, we said it, and this Kenoforiata guy told us, hey, you have to prepare your spiritual spiritual food. Ghana for we need to prepare your spiritual food. In the cathedral and cathedral or minor born, my spiritual food no magian. We are say I can see you answer. Christianity no more cover by and they don't fool like we are fooling here. I thought that crowd when I'm now catch you so a Christian you sabi like, because the way a manner, the way we are fooling around this whole contest Christianity, no, but that is not supposed to be. Culture said God is a reasonable God. He wants us to use our brain, leverage it to ensure say you be baby spiritual food. And then you are begging pensioners. They should allow their investment to go. Now, we hear about Abrana president, hand jet, ya no nemu no kwa no banana, ye no yet TV, so I can't be moody at them. No. Okay. And then they are telling you, say, let's just share the burden, and yes, I'll mind a bubble. Yes, it's a one kai baby a free bar. You will never know where you are going. If you don't remember where you are coming from, you will never know where you are going. So where are we coming from? We are coming from a brand new high jet. We are coming from Abra Obibe draw adhere to paper so na ya tam sika boom dia man, because I'm ready sika na bu ya bon kwase abosi anti sika na bu ne atam ne dia man no. Cathedral ye kan nyansasem okrom ha nyina ewi ekra binim se kra de se nde ya bonsamfo ene cathedral na ka nwuram ye bubu amanfo dan yagu judges dan at the center of cantonment ye bugu ye akohan dan we pay in dollars every month bia na nyina no ye tua judges ka. These are the crimes of these guys, and you sit there and tell me say ye nyina ye hu ye homobo asa wo bodam. People must answer for their crimes. Finito. Obian time obian disrespect obia baby a president eduru ye obia nduru ho o disrespect na wan kasa kra na disrespect ho, but the fact is obi say the facts are objective. And your whole and it's holy, it's incontrovertible. That is why I call University of Ghana Oba your friend saying Commonwealth. I see the truth stands. And say, yes, it may be ugly truth because you may not like it the way I'm throwing out there, but that is the reality. Because yeah, high jet, we spoke about it. Yesi Cathedral, we spoke about it. One district, one factory. Sikani Kotugu ya truly amfanya sheno, we spoke about it. Then, at the 8 hospitals, no? Inyansi no. Yama obi be draw nema go say architect. Just say the amount of money that went into those things. A Japan deal buy nipa adne nyangwo ne out okra na already no na you pay legal advisors your friend is saying gabi asaro da konom already they've taken their millions away because sika buyenche. Like, how can you run a country like this? So just imagine Ghana is your personal company. Kufuado a personal property. Just let us be very honest. Let us take away this excessive partisan things, considerations. Let us be honest. Say Ghana, you will be personal property, your company. And you will be foolishly dashing out money in the way and manner we have done. Pulling down hospitals at the center of Labadi. In 2 or 3 years, you'll be seen there, a hard damn football park. What are we doing to ourselves? We are blinded by politics. And you have certain shameless guys in the media who sit on TV and they defend and support all these absurdities. Yes, me say, you can, belonging to a political party, nobody will find fault with you. But party, above it, the courage and the conviction to confront evil, that is what makes you a human being. And yes, sir, you are no different from an animal. Because the ills and the indiscretions of government are too many, way in this particular country apart. We are not making any advances. We are not making any gains. Go to the hospitals and see the number of people who are on admission and cannot even pay for a single medication. The number of people who are on dialysis in this particular country, they have nothing. They die. People with kidney problems. A man who are supposed to undergo surgical distance, but the whole lot. You see where I'm coming from. I've been exposed to a lot of stuff. So sometimes when I'm talking, I'm not just talking out of your friends anything. I'm talking out of something. The raw deals the average and the ordinary Ghanaian are going through in their lives, Into me who's be social media now parody cars and I'm a talker when I'm a phantom when I'm where me who say we I don't see you so we will be a answer because my catcher say in a failed state like this nobody is a hero. What we do is try to elevate Obia kakra. You don't come on social media and display wealth when people are your friend is saying wallowing in the pool of poverty. Out of a course, but certain individuals been the upper hand and they are just robbing them left, right, and center. And because some of them, because of whatever, they feel comfortable because of free say poverty in an acceptable position and they're waiting for somebody to pass a messy card. No, that isn't the case. I think that we've spoken a lot and time call. Oh, because 70 years before kasa wudi achira you be end up saying because I reho. But like I said, this is a weekend edition. I'll try as much as I can. Anytime I have a lot of commitment somewhere, and anytime be a many free time and I'll just try one way or the other just to come. Now issues ness you can wasem no yetimiaka wasem. So like I said, in your opportunity I just share the video, and apart from video so just try to put some short write-ups in on Facebook and as for just try to share and as a comment. Let us build a discourse a bit me amboying obi adwenkyere is invite your friends is welcomed. Pesoba bijina hana bedidi obi atem no obi kire na dwan. Those things it's not allowed. We really need to make active contribution. Culture say we are not going to be mere bystanders. We are not going to be mere spectators. We are going to be active participants. just like the proponent of deliberative democracy country and say we must be active participants. We cannot be mere consumers of political products sold to us by the corrupt media. We have to be active participants, and to be active participants, our power will fall from the lay to us. We need to activate our senses and be reasonable, and do away with this tribal, your friends say ethnocentric, partisan kind of way. I did the tima. Young finance and politics, I can be and then on my fire do mum because. Obi who know who's a winning yansa. They can easily manipulate you and do whatever. And nobody will say anything. And can no for that wait me could do be public, a big camera and him a catch a gun for say, yan support your mind of babo, saga aquawi. Sakwa wait me could do be camera and him near my way in chi catch a gun for say, your say yan supporting and your saw mine or bo. Bobby to miaka. Because there are a pool of people out there who will be foolishly defending Nema Waye, so he feels he's in a comfortable zone because of party politics. Jumadi near the show and no failure, you sit behind, somebody comes in. But we are dealing with a crop of people, they don't have respect for anybody. Kadede akoso nyina anka nipa se be wenyansani a obefre Ghana for akache nse se be wakoba wonkwase aka na oman no atiato amenam na se omon so a omon emwaw na oman no mesi ne we ma. What you do ni say you first show your friend saying commitment by cutting down the size of government or expenses in nase forum other project here you put all of them on hold just to elicit certain seriousness among for say hey why a mistake there but with the mama yam one driver ni na other car na nam kwan so a otwini nkwase aso a oduru krobia so na ya tu no fo hwe yi na the car benya accident o na okohu na nipa gu car no na odo makwasha amenam afi wakwa kopa nipa na no mutu no fo no cha say momma amena minyi car no mfra amena no ma waso ne nsa gu no bo no ogina say munyi ni ntam manyi ni ntam a ya fan say car no she ho cha be say he's not touching but nip mo mutu no fo no wantie no o say mo munyi car no mfra amena no na ne boss o kan ne so duru fie by 6 o'clock and auto na wa folding the arms and na mugu amena no na muyi. That is what Akufo-Addo is doing. But it shall be well. Bye bye. Hasta mañana.